So LinkedIn is a platform for B2B sales professional, and you've probably heard about or seen some of their ads before. The question you're probably thinking, is it worth it? And from a sales perspective, where you're an individual contributor and you're not even going to be in charge of the budget or doing any of the ads, does it make sense for you to even consider learning about LinkedIn ads? Well, today, my good friend, AJ Wilcox, is going to identify three type of ads. Even if your company takes advantage of any of this, it will massively see an improvement for you. And we're going to talk about that. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have the one and only AJ Wilcox. He is the LinkedIn ads expert, and he runs a podcast all about LinkedIn ads. AJ and I have been connected for a number of years, and finally got him to get on the show. He and I got connected at Inbound recently again, and he just has a plethora of knowledge when it comes towards utilizing LinkedIn, and specifically for LinkedIn ads. It's something I wanted to find out, though, because I was thinking, well, my folks are not necessarily marketers. What can this benefit? How can they get benefited from this episode? And one of the things we started looking at was, no, there's specific things that can help the sales rep. And AJ tells a story about how when he started doing this for teams, the team he was working for, how the sales team was fighting for his leads because they were so good. And you and I both know how great ads and great leads, they're hard to come by. People who are interested and ready to purchase. So he'll talk about this and go into it and give you his background, but I highly recommend you check him out. He has a great podcast as well. Speaking about podcasts, if this is your first time listening to our show, go ahead and subscribe. We'll notify you every single time we have a new episode with amazing content, and I would love to have you take advantage of it. So you're going to find great benefit. So find that information down there in the show notes. Let's go ahead and dive in and get a chance to connect and learn a little bit more about AJ and to see how these type of ads can help us make some money. Let's go do it. AJ, welcome to the show.
So excited to finally be here. I'm a long-time listener.
Well, I'm pumped to have you. And I know at the beginning you did the intro. And I think I probably need to have you do the intro for this one.
I totally can. Donald C. Kelly.
See, guys, he knows what he's doing here, man. Well, this is why we want to have you on the show. Not only are you fun, but also you know a lot about LinkedIn. And I'm a big believer in LinkedIn and the power of it, and specifically LinkedIn ads. I bragged about you a little bit in the teaser and talked about what you do and how you help individuals, how you help team. How did you get involved in this, AJ?
Yeah, so I was an SEO and a Google Ads guy back in the day. I got recruited into a SaaS software company. It was kind of my foray into B2B. And I was talking to my CMO on the first day, and I kind of laid out all the different strategies I wanted to use. And she said, all that sounds great. Go ahead and execute it. But just so you know, we started a pilot with LinkedIn ads 2 weeks ago. So see what you can do. And I saluted and said, yes, ma'am. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. And so I jumped into this platform I'd never heard of before. And within about 2 weeks, my sales team was coming up and saying, hey, AJ, we're fighting over your LinkedIn leads. Keep it up. And after hearing that repeatedly, I went, okay, I need to focus more of my attention here. And the rest is history. I grew that account to become LinkedIn's largest spending ads account in the world. And then it's been almost 10 years ago. I went all in on LinkedIn ads. I left there and started a LinkedIn ads only agency because I could tell people were not taking full advantage of such an awesome channel.
Why? Why is that? Why don't people not take advantage of LinkedIn for ads?
I think they weren't thinking of it to begin with. I don't think LinkedIn's done a great job of marketing their own product. And so most people I talked to, 10, 12 years ago, they didn't even know that LinkedIn had an ads platform. But those who do try it out on their own, I've heard two things. I hear, number one, LinkedIn ads are expensive, which they are, but when they're done properly, you get an ROI out of it. And number two, they go, oh, LinkedIn ads don't work. And that's because they didn't do it right. It's a very different animal compared to Facebook or Google, and it takes a special touch.
What's the main difference? We have sales leaders and sellers listening to this, and we're like, we are all hooked because you said one thing at the beginning of this story, that your sales team was fighting over your leads. So as a seller, I'm like scratching right now. I'm getting all itchy. I'm like, I want some of that leads. Give me some more.
That's right. Yeah.
What about it that makes these leads so good, and what is it that we miss? And then we can go into some of the strategies, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, the biggest difference, especially if you compare with Facebook or Meta, we have a client right now who they're running a really sophisticated Meta program, and then we're running their LinkedIn, and we're comparing the results across the board. What happens is on Meta, they get a cost per click that is about a fifth of LinkedIn's, so it's much less expensive. Wow. Leading to a cost per conversion that's a fifth as much. So immediately, if you're just looking at cost per lead or cost per conversion or cost per webinar sign up, whatever, Meta is looking really good. Yeah. But then we talk to their sales team and we find out they have to throw out 90% of their leads because they're not the right people. And that's because Meta does not know who you are professionally. Yeah. But with LinkedIn, they don't have to throw out any of those leads because we're targeting by their current job title, by the size of their company. We can target just specific companies in a list. So all of that to say, we get to be so specific about who these professionals are. We make sure they are the right fit for our business. And so you start comparing down the funnel down to like a cost per qualified lead and a cost per proposal sent, a cost per closed deal, and return on investment. LinkedIn is twice as high on return on investment as Meta, even though the costs are 5 times larger. Pretty amazing. Interesting. And I think I can agree with you on that. The whole idea of the quality of the lead for our organization, and most people here know about it as TSE Studios. That's our production side of our business, creative side. And we were partnered with an organization, and we were getting a lot of Facebook leads. I got probably about 200 leads, but AJ, I'm not a horrible seller, but our team, we converted about 4 of those people converted into customers. 5, technically 6, but a couple of them just weren't ready. But they go back to what you said, they weren't the professionals. They didn't have the right fit, and we wasted a lot of time on people who weren't ready to make an investment. So now let's say that I'm in this situation where I'm a company, I'm listening to this episode, I'm like, this is great. Where do I start? And I know that there's different types of strategy that we can do. You and I had a conversation about it. There was 3 main type of ads that we could probably look towards for sales professionals. There's more, but listen, if you guys want to get more about that from AJ, he should produce a lot of great content, and we're going to link back to that. But I want to talk about 3 of them that I felt that could be very beneficial for us this afternoon. And one of them was the thought leadership ads. Then we run some ABM strategies, so I'm going to be selfish here, and I want to hear about ABM. And then the third one is I want to learn about those leads who we have not closed yet. Like sometimes we have deals that are sitting out there and people connect with us on LinkedIn, but they're way more decision makers or influencers a part of a deal now than ever before. So I'm selfishly want to get those 3 taken care of. Is that fair enough? Yeah, let's handle it.
All right, let's go in. Talk to me about the thought leadership. What's the use case? What exactly is that use case that can help us as sales professionals?
So this is LinkedIn's newest ad format, and I'm really excited about it. What happened is before last year, all of the ads that we would advertise, they would come from the company. And if you think about the way that you work on LinkedIn as you're scrolling down, if you see a company you've never heard of before, chances are you're just going to keep scrolling. But if you see an individual in your feed, a human face, you're going to wonder, like, do I know this person? Like, who are they? What are they saying? And we definitely see that pan out. Thought leader ads, because they are promoting a person's post rather than a company, they get a lot more dwell time. They get a lot more interaction, a lot more engagement. And the really cool part about anything that gets higher engagement in an ad platform, as you get higher engagement, the platform starts charging you less. So with a company boosted post, a post in the newsfeed from your company, we see an average of like 0.5% of a click-through rate, meaning 0.5% of the people who see it end up taking some sort of an action on it. But with thought leader ads, these are coming as individuals. We're seeing click-through rates in the like 5 to 16% range, which is crazy. Yeah.
What are they clicking to at that point?
On thought leader ads specifically, LinkedIn makes it so you any sort of action that someone takes on the ad, it counts as a click. But they also charge us less for that. So you could have a click to a landing page of some kind, but you're also going to get people who follow you. They comment, they click to your company to see more about that. So lots of different actions that they can take. But then what I love is we can then retarget anyone who's interacted with this thought leader ad. We can then retarget and then show them something maybe a little bit more meaty from the company.
Okay, so let's get some ideas. What kind of content could be a good thought leader, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think you as a sales leader, you probably get a lot of questions either from your sales reps or from the prospects that you talk to. Those become kind of a list of frequently asked questions. And I think that becomes awesome content that you want to share, because if people are asking you every single day, of course, more people in your target audience care about that. And so I think one of the very best strategies that you can use for creating these thought leader ads, just take out your phone, record yourself giving a quick 15 to 30 second tip, a trick, a strategy, an update on their industry that they should know about, just something that provides a ton of value. And people love that. They interact like crazy. They watch to the end. And then once people are engaged with you, then you can retarget them and show longer videos, 30, 45 seconds, a minute long, or send them to landing pages to sign up for, something. But I think that's a really good first line of defense there.
Okay. So I did this with a company that I worked for recently. A partner that I had, a LinkedIn partner. We did an ad. They took one of mine, and then they saw the performance on the organic, and then they boosted it. And they got more metrics from it than I did. But they saw that, and the reason was, go back to what you said, because my face was there, my community, and some of those things was very helpful. What do you if say I have a team member, I have some team members here that are not necessarily doing a whole lot with LinkedIn, and we want to get them to take advantage of, let's say a company out there, they're listening to this and they want to take advantage of this. How would you recommend them they start doing it with the thought leadership ad?
I think there's several different ways you could go. You could gather together all your thought leaders in the organization and try testing Donald versus AJ versus Cynthia, and just see like whose posts tend to perform really well. That's a cool way to start. Also, we didn't talk about this, but just this year, LinkedIn made it so we can boost posts of people who are not our current employees, which opens it up to like external thought leaders or customers, even. Lots of different options that you have there, just like this company featured one of your posts.
Yeah, and I think that part makes sense so well. Like, imagine a customer, if I got one of my customers to take they share the customer testimonial. You see this sometimes, people will do it, but then you go and get their permission, and then you help boost that more. Their community and the people part of that the hemisphere that they're a part of, or the ecosystem, is going to see that, which is going to obviously help you. And that's going to spark curiosity to figure out who is this, Play-Doh.com company, because, Barbara just spoke so much about them. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So, I love it. All right. So that's one. This is interesting. Two, let's talk about ABM strategies. How can we do ABMs? And by the way, have you had any example, anyone that done any thought leadership?
Yes, I do. One of our clients right now, what we're doing specifically is they've got a couple of sales reps who manage leads nationwide. And so what we've done is we've taken one of their posts, actually a couple posts from each of the sales reps, and we target just the Eastern and Western US and show just the posts from them. So when they're engaging, they're actually engaging with the post of the sales rep who is responsible for them. It's the same person that they would be speaking with.
Interesting.
And so really cool from a just keeping it in your own territory kind of perspective that it would be difficult to do with any other network, I think.
See, and I've had somebody share, somebody in my network share a post recently, and they said that LinkedIn, becoming a content creator on LinkedIn doesn't work unless you're still into sales and marketing people. And there was I had a hard disagree with that. And I think there's others that had the same idea too. Maybe they're trying to be a contrarian. But in a situation like this, you don't need to be a content creator, but you just need to demonstrate your expertise. And this is going to help you to get so much more further ahead in that space, because now, like what you're saying, you're really targeting that ad towards people that are in your territory that working for companies that potentially going to buy from you. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's perfect. And I think an extra bit of info here that could be really helpful is we find that it's something like 80+% of the people who see a video ad on LinkedIn watch it with the sound off. And
80%.
So what we found is if we add in, and there are a bunch of different AI tools out there that will help you do this. We add what I call animated subtitles. It's the same kind of subtitles that you see on like TikTok and Instagram videos. As soon as we added those to our videos, our completion rate doubled overnight. And if you think about it, that's twice the number of people you're paying the same amount who are watching all the way to the end. That shows how much more engaging it is. So don't worry too much about the audio of these clips. Like, don't feel like you have to go out and buy really nice mics. If you're a sales rep or grabbing an internal thought leader that you want to speak, like, you just make sure that your subtitles are gathering people in, that there's action in the first second or two, and chances are you'll see a lot higher performance.
That is pretty fascinating. I'm putting that down almost 80% there. Well, let's jump into the next one, ABM. How would we execute an ABM strategy when it comes to ads, and why is that one so popular?
Yeah, so ABM is really difficult to do on other platforms because the other platforms, they don't know where someone works. But LinkedIn is, like, it's the platform that people come in and update their data first. So LinkedIn's had this ability to target by company name ever since the platform came out in 2008. And now there's all kinds of other ABM platforms, but I haven't found anything to work as efficiently as just LinkedIn. We can upload a list of up to 300,000 companies by name into our ad account and then add different filters on. Like, they have to be in a sales role or a marketing role or have this job title at this list of companies in order to see our ads. And that works extremely well. This kind of, I think, gets into the third point that we wanted to handle. But imagine this, where you have a list of leads. These are the companies who are in your pipeline, but have not yet converted yet. They haven't signed the deal yet.
Yeah.
If you want to get in front of the whole buyer's committee, that's really simple on LinkedIn. We know usually it's going to be whoever I call them the pain feeler, whoever the pain feeler is in the organization who is your lead. You probably want to hit their boss and their boss's boss, and you probably want to hit someone in the finance department. And if it's a small company, it's going to cross the desk of the CEO. If it's larger, maybe someone else. But you take this list of companies who are in your pipeline, you layer on those job functions, those levels of seniority, and you show ads to them. What you're doing is you're greasing the skids so that when the deal crosses the desk of someone there in one of these organizations, they're a lot more likely to go, I've heard of that company before. They must be legit. And they're a lot more likely to sign the deal.
So, but that seems like a lot of coordination with doing this, where it's, if it's ABM or even this lead, people who are close to this lead. How, as an individual contributor, I may not necessarily have the power to do that. But this may be some kind of coordination with the sales, marketing. You talked about it from when you first started and how you did this. Who were you in communication with, and who needs to be a part of this to make this successful? Usually
the ad account itself is owned by the marketing department. And so you definitely want to have a connection there, a good relationship. But if you're able to provide the marketing department with, here's an ABM list, here's a list of like my highly desired companies that I want to get in with, they can go and create you a campaign that's just your stuff. as you are creating your own personal posts on LinkedIn, then you can go to the marketing department and say, hey, can you boost my post that I just put up to my territory? Such good marketing technology out there right now where these can all be dynamic lists too. You can say, here's our dynamic list of all companies that are in our pipeline. That's a HubSpot list that's just being pushed every night into LinkedIn to keep it updated. You can totally do that. Brilliant. I like that. So then the maintenance is minimal
because you're not necessarily have to do a whole bunch of this necessarily, changes. There's some automated stuff that can happen, like you're saying there.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is let's say a company, they're doing this, the sales leader, she's listening to this episode. She's thinking, well, budget wise, what do I go back and tell marketing? And I know that's probably a loaded question, but is there where have you seen when you started off, is there a minimal level that somebody could start off with to start to see success with LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's all dependent on audience size. If you have a very small audience, you're not going to have to spend very much to just stay in front of them. If this is a very large audience, let's say this is 50,000, 100,000 people globally that you might want to target, you might want to budget up in the 3 to 5K a month to reach them. But if this is just let's say there's a list of 50 companies that you're going after and you're reaching 4 or 5 people in each organization, you might not need to budget more than $1,000 to do that.
Not too bad. 1,000 per month?
Yeah. I would think you probably want, of course, everyone's going to explore this as a campaign. Like, does this work or does this not? But once you have faith that it's working, then I think it's okay, let's make this an evergreen program. Let's keep having our sales reps come out with 1 or 2 new videos every month that we can boost, and you keep things fresh.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the cool parts about this, about the power behind this. It doesn't need to be too complicated. But then most companies, if they get one deal, it totally justified the investment that they did, right? Or one deal close. Because if you're a B2B company and you're selling anything, it's probably more than a grand at least. And if that's the case, it totally makes sense. You had an example, one of your clients with some data, and I wanted to kind of help people to understand and see some of this real world. I talked to them about how, in the beginning, I told them how you're the real deal. But do you mind talking a little bit about that client? Give us some context and how and spit some of the data to us, that success story.
Yeah, so this one's really interesting. This is a healthcare insurance provider. I don't have their permission to share specifics or anything, but yeah, that's the industry that they're in. When they close a partner, this is someone who's going to use them as an insurance provider. It's worth millions. I mean, these are they are traditionally very happy to get 2 leads per quarter who end up having a conversation with them, because if they close one, it's worth millions. It's well worth their investment. So we've been working together for several years at this point. Getting that on average 2 leads per quarter, and they're thrilled by that. Just this last quarter, we turned on thought leader ads from their sales reps, and what we're seeing from the actual post, I'm looking at it right here. We see average dwell time. So this is a new metric that LinkedIn shows. When we show these sales reps as we show their posts rather than the company posts, they're getting on average more than 1 extra second of dwell time. So people are leaving it on screen. They're actually checking out what this person has to say. And we have click-through rates that are in the, we have one post here that's getting an 8% click-through rate. Whereas I can't remember if I mentioned, you're lucky on a company page post to get over 0.5%. So we're talking, this is 16x kind of performance from these thought leader ads. And what was so amazing with all of this, I mean, we're tracking these metrics. We want to see who's engaging and all that. When we looked at the leads from last quarter, we had 18. These are clicks that we will not be able to attribute to their advertising, but we know the only thing that we changed this last quarter was we launched thought leader ads at the beginning of the quarter, and we're getting a lot more inquiries. That tells us there's a lot of engagement happening behind the scenes. There's a lot of trust that is passed by them seeing posts by their own sales rep.
Shoot, everybody needs to go holler at these
Right?
at these at these leads, these thought leader ads. And one thing I noticed with LinkedIn too, AJ, is like when they have a new darling at any platform, that's the time to jump on that bandwagon, so to speak, because this is when they're pushing it even more so and favoring it. So probably a pretty darn good time for us to take advantage of looking into some thought leadership ad. There may be somebody that's sitting on the fence today, AJ, and they're thinking like, I just don't know. I've tried it before and I've not seen great success with it. Is there one piece of advice you would give that leader when it comes to thinking about LinkedIn ads?
Yeah, I think about the targeting that's available to you and how you really can't get this targeting anywhere else on any other platform. Google's going to get you access to people searching for your keyword, but if people don't know that your category exists or there's not an established keyword, like Google's kind of out. Then you've got Facebook that you're able to target people by what they're interested in, and Facebook knows that, but it doesn't know who you are and what you've accomplished professionally. LinkedIn's the only platform for that. So if your prospect, if you can nail them down by this job title in this kind of industry, LinkedIn's the only game in town, really. And the sooner you get in, because prices are always increasing, competition's always increasing, the earlier you get in and figure it out, the less likely your top competitor is going to be to get ahead of you.
This is really good, and I love the fact that you came and brought us some real stories today. Give us some specific strategies. I mean, there's some stuff that we can apply here. If you're listening to this show, you can take some of these ideas back and bring it back to your team. If you're a sales leader, I highly encourage you to, in your next leadership meeting or you're talking to RevOps or whatnot, this has got to be a conversation item. It's time. LinkedIn is we know it's a honey generating a honeypot and a money generation platform, so take advantage of it. AJ, if folks out here listening want to get in touch with you or whatnot, what is the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just make sure you add a little custom note there. Just say, you heard me on Donald's show. That sounds great. The other thing is we're at b2linked.com. So if you go and fill out the form on any of the pages on that website, it goes to me. Like, we'll have a conversation. Obviously, you're into podcasts if you're listening to this show. So I'm also the host of the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast.
We're going to put a link down below. So you guys definitely need to take advantage of that show. I think you're going to enjoy it. So it's dope stuff. And like you heard here today, AJ also shares all kinds of good, valuable stuff with it. So highly recommend it. AJ, thanks for taking the time to come on our show.
Donald C. Kelly, thanks so much.
Appreciate you. That was AJ Wilcox, and I'm telling you, the man knows what he's talking about. He just laid it out for us, gave us a plethora of information. Go ahead and check him out. You can find a link to his show, connect with him on LinkedIn, and tell him that you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And if you're curious about what kind of ads you can run and how this can benefit your team or you as an individual contributor, please go ahead and take this episode, send it back to your team lead, to your CEO, CFO, somebody, and let them get connected with AJ because it's really dope. That influencer one, I'm telling you, the thought leadership one, I recommend that one. We've seen that, and as I mentioned in the show here, we've tested it out with another organization, and it's great. Just get that post boosted right in front of more people. If you'd like to get more episodes like this, please go ahead and send me a note. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, not just send a message. I mean, a follow. I mean, connect with me. Send me a message. I'd love to hear that you're finding the show. In addition to that, we have a sales mastermind, and it begins at the end of October, and we'd love to have you join. This mastermind helps sales professionals like you and me to be able to get nurtured, give you ideas, opportunities to practice, role play, and improve your sales game. If you want to find out more about it, go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. Can't wait to have you. Look forward to having you join us. Go out, raise your level of thinking, and do big things. See you on the next one.